What is up, YouTube gang? It's your boy Friday Random Media, and I'm back on this Friday with another video. And today, we're going to do a different type of video, more of just a character breakdown with a few different topics that I like to touch on in my video series. So, if you are a Lord of the Rings fan, you are in luck, because today we are going to talk about the Witch King of Angmar, the leader of the Nazgul, and some other cool things involving the Nazgul. Remember to like and subscribe, and comment down below if you want to see more character and creature breakdowns from the Tolkien Legendarium. Now, the Witch King of Angmar, who is he? Sauron's second in command during the War of the Ring, Lord of the Rings books and movies, although the Witch King has operated long before his most popular appearance. The origins and history of the Witch King of Angmar is still a mysterious subject among Tolkien enthusiasts. The Witch King's identity remains unknown, although rumored to be a Númenórean due to the Númenórean people's superior physicality to the middlemen of Middle-earth, who were more like normal humans just like ourselves. He was also rumored to be a sorcerer king of old who was lured by Sauron's promise of power with a ring. He took the ring and over time faded further from the physical world, transforming into a ringwraith, a Nazgul. Due to his superior power over the other ringwraiths, over the other Nazgul, he became leader of the Nazgul. Under the will of Sauron, the Witch King led dark armies on Middle-earth, winning some, losing some, but undoubtedly striking fear to the free peoples of Middle-earth. He was a force to be reckoned with, only second in command to Sauron, which he proved this over a span of over 1,000 years until his death in the Battle of Pelennor Fields. So, as you can see, no one really knows who the Witch King was, but we can talk about what he is. The Nazgul, or the Ringwraiths, are 9 powerful and dangerous servants of the Dark Lord Sauron, all once men who are similarly corrupted by the rings of power given to them by Sauron. Let's dive into the powers, abilities, and the gear of the 9 Nazgul. Invisibility. When wearing their black robes granted by Sauron, the Nazgul become visible and tangible to the physical world, but without their garbs, they are basically invisible, intangible beings trapped between the physical and the wraith world. Their fear-inducing presence, or the Black Breath. The presence of the Nazgul is terrifying to most all living creatures. They exude a dark poisonous fume known as the Black Breath, which can prove fatal, and I do note this ability wasn't shown in the films, but in the book it happens quite a lot. Immortality. As wraiths, the Nazgul are virtually immortal in the sense that they don't age or die from natural causes. They can only be destroyed through specific means, such as destroying the One Ring, or through a magical weapon. Ring detection. The Nazgul have the ability to sense the presence of the One Ring, and this allows them to track its movements and guide Sauron's forces towards it like they did with Frodo and the Hobbits. Enchantment. The Witch King has been shown using his enchanted items like his sword and his Morgul blade, but also speaking an incantation that enchanted the great battering ram known as Grond, which then destroyed the gates of Minas Tirith in a great blast. Now let's get into the gear and weapons. Robes. The Nazgul wear dark, hooded robes that conceal their withered, ghostly forms. These robes contribute to their menacing appearance and grant them invisibility when needed. Morgul blades. Each Nazgul carries a Morgul blade, a cursed weapon that can inflict wounds that fester and lead to the victim to fade into the Wraith world, similar to the Nazgul themselves. Even a simple scratch from a Morgul blade can be lethal to mortals, as shown when Frodo was stabbed with a Morgul blade, and for the rest of his life he was tortured by the pain. Their horses. Dark and intimidating creatures bred and trained by Sauron's forces, some even stolen long ago from the kingdom of Rohan. These steeds enhance their speed and mobility when not using the fell beasts. And the fell beasts are large, winged creatures, kind of like dragons, flying serpents. And these fell beasts give the Nazgul aerial mobility and enhance their combat capabilities, as well as letting out a will-shattering screech that staggers foes. And, last of all, the famous Morning Star flail that the Witch King uses in Return of the King. So, this combination of their supernatural abilities, fear-inducing presence, and deadly weapons makes the Nazgul formidable adversaries in the service of Sauron. They play a central role in Sauron's quest to regain the One Ring and dominate Middle-earth, and more so, the Witch King plays the ultimate role commanding the armies and leading the Nazgul. So, I can sit up here all day hyping up the Nazgul and the Witch King, but what has he done? Let's check it out. The Witch King seized control of Angmar, a region in northern Middle-earth, by skillfully manipulating local men, particularly hillmen, posing as a formidable sorcerer. He established the Kingdom of Angmar around 1300 of the Third Age, launching brutal military campaigns with orcs and trolls to expand his dominion. His primary aim was to annihilate the remnants of Arnor, fragmented and weakening, and he succeeded in this endeavor with the fall of Arthedain after the Battle of Fornost. This conquest allowed him to consolidate his control over Angmar and further Sauron's influence in the north. The Witch King's first command of an army occurred during the Battle of Fornost in the year 1975 of the Third Age. This battle was a pivotal moment in the history of Arnor, a once powerful kingdom that had splintered into 3 realms. The Witch King, then known as the Lord of Angmar, launched devastating attacks on these fragmented Arnor territories with a formidable army, aiming to destroy the last remnants and bring them under Sauron's dominion. Fornost, the capital of Arthedain, was the last stronghold of Arnor, defended by Prince Arvidoi. And I apologize if I pronounced that wrong. The Witch King's overwhelming forces led to Fornost's fall, effectively ending Arnor's existence. The Witch King solidified control, and the remnants of Arnor's people became wandering rangers. This marked the rise of the Kingdom of Angmar, and established the Witch King as a formidable force in the north, furthering Sauron's influence in Middle-earth. The Witch King, mounted on a fell beast, confronted Gandalf the White, who's riding Shadowfax during the Battle of the Siege of Minas Tirith. And this was in the extended version of The Return of the King, so if you go watch that, check it out and let me know if you think this scene is valid. The Witch King, mounted on a fell beast, confronts Gandalf, who is riding Shadowfax, during the Battle of the Siege of Minas Tirith. The Witch King raises his flaming sword and uses the dark magic to shatter Gandalf's staff. This action leaves Gandalf momentarily powerless and visibly distressed. Although this doesn't happen in the books, it is still important to note because of how powerful the Witch King is intended to be, or at least shown to be. The fact he rivals and arguably beats Gandalf is one of the biggest wins, because this is Gandalf the White, who is superior to the Balrog, who is superior to Saruman the White. It is one of the only beings that Sauron himself is concerned about. So, does the Witch King actually beat Gandalf the White? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Now, we've talked about who the Witch King is, what the Nazgul are, what he has done. Now, I want to get into a different topic here, and I want to talk about how the Witch King and his army of Sauron's forces would fare against some of the real-world armies that we've seen throughout time. And I'm going to be going over Genghis Khan's army, the Roman Empire, and the Soviet Union from World War II. It's said that in The Return of the King, behind the scenes, Sauron's siege of Minas Tirith consisted of 600,000 troops, so that's what we're going to be using today. Now, let's get into it. Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan's army was known for its mobility, discipline, and innovative tactics, particularly its use of cavalry. While the Witch King's army of 600,000 troops is sizable, Genghis Khan's forces were highly skilled in hit-and-run tactics, maneuverability, and adaptability to different terrains, although they only peaked at about 100,000 to 130,000 troops. In an open field battle, the Witch King's army would have the numerical advantage by a lot, but Genghis Khan's forces might use their superior tactics and mobility to outmaneuver and defeat a lot of Sauron's ground troops. The Mongols' hit-and-run warfare might allow them to exploit the Witch King's army potential lack of discipline and lack of tactics, but the passive magical force of the Witch King, plus the numerous trolls, wargs, and fell beasts will prove a massive problem for Genghis Khan and the Mongols. I got the Witch King's army taking it. Now onto the meme itself, the Roman Empire. The Roman legions were renowned for their discipline, training, and well-organized formations. The Romans were also highly adaptable and could face diverse opponents successfully. The Roman Empire's legions typically consisted of around 4,800 to 6,000 soldiers, so extremely outnumbered by 1,000 times. 6,000 to 600,000. If that math isn't right, I don't give a shit. There's no real way for the Romans to win a battle like this when the insane difference in numbers, plus the creatures and the trolls and the Witch King's magic fear-inducing abilities that could probably break the Roman ranks itself. Now, moving on to the Soviet Union. The Soviet army during World War II boasted millions of soldiers, upwards to 10 million troops. The Soviet army was distinguished by its vast numerical advantage, just pouring soldiers into battle like there was no end to them. While the Witch King's forces possessed magical monsters, the sheer scale and technological advancements of the Soviet Union, like at this time, like tanks, artillery, even just having firearms would make it a difficult battle for the Witch King's army. It's like nothing they would have ever experienced before, and this is why I think the Soviet Union might actually pull a dub and make the Witch King retreat. Now, I want to move on to the closing segment of this video, which, if you've seen my Versus Everybody series, where I take a fictional character and put them up against 5 or 6 different opponents, this is going to be very much like that, but less in depth. So, let's talk about these opponents who are going to face off against the Witch King and the Nazgul. Starting off with Brienne of Tarth from the Game of Thrones. 1v1 against the Witch King. Brienne's exceptional sword skills, strength, and combat experience could make her a formidable opponent for the Witch King. However, the Witch King's dark powers would pose a significant challenge. If he was to use his magic to weaken or incapacitate Brienne, she may find herself at a loss. The outcome would depend on her ability to close the distance, engage in close combat, and even then, she doesn't have a magic weapon to do any possible damage. 1v9 against the 9 Nazgul, Brienne of Tarth's combat skills and sheer strength could allow her to engage in some swordplay, potentially fending off a few attacks. For how long though? Not long at all. Doing much worse than Aragorn did when he soloed the 5 Nazgul on Weathertop. So the Nazgul's fear-inducing abilities actually might be enough to subdue Brienne of Tarth. They might not even engage in sword combat. Number 2, Guts, the Black Swordsman, the Struggler, from the Berserk manga and anime. 1v1, Guts' raw power and rage might allow him to go toe-to-toe with the Witch King competitively. The Dragon Slayer sword doesn't have the magical properties needed to harm the Witch King, which might be an issue. The Witch King's magic might be too overwhelming for Guts, exploiting his inner demons, or straight up just exploding the Dragon Slayer itself. 1v9, Guts' resistance to fear might allow him to confront the Nazgul with his usual determination, as we've seen him do with the countless apostles over time. I also say it's plausible that Guts is agile and fast enough to evade many of the physical attacks. However, if Guts is overwhelmed and was injured by a Nazgul's Morgul blade, there's not much Guts could do to save himself before fading into the Wraith world. I got the Witch King and the Nazgul winning this battle. Bellatrix Lestrange from Harry Potter. 1v1, Bellatrix would engage in a magical duel with the Witch King, using her spells and curses to attack from a distance. Seeing as the Witch King contends with Gandalf the White directly, it's safe to say the Witch King's magic is much more potent and powerful. His physical strength in the Morgul blade would pose a significant threat if he got close enough, and that's even if he didn't explode the wand out of Bellatrix's hand. 1v9, in a magical battle against the Nazgul, Bellatrix could maybe use some protection spells to buy her some time, or perhaps use some light spells to fend off the 9 for a limited amount of time. But in this case, I don't see Bellatrix having the heart or the ferocity to face any more than one single Nazgul at a time, and she would eventually be cut down. Now moving on to Ash Williams from the Evil Dead and Army of Darkness franchise. 1v1, Ash would engage in a gritty, chaotic battle with the Witch King, using his arsenal of weapons like the boomstick and his chainsaw, which have been said to withhold magical properties through the many different adaptations of Evil Dead and Army of Darkness. It's also important to mention that Ash's lack of magical abilities are made up for by the super potent and uber powerful Necronomicon, the Book of the Dead. If Ash was able to rattle off some of those incantations, he may actually have some luck with the Witch King and defeat him. In a 1v9 though, a battle against the Nazgul, Ash wouldn't have time to spit any spells, which would eventually end in an overwhelming fight. Ash may be able to blast away a couple ring wraiths, but ultimately, I see Ash getting struck down in the end. Finally, down to our last 2 opponents, Darth Maul and Darth Talon from Star Wars. In a 2v1 duel, Maul and Talon would instantly engage the Witch King in close combat, using their agility and lightsaber skills to attack. I'm unsure if the lightsabers would actually be able to come to blows with the Nazgul weaponry because lightsabers aren't inherently magical. Overcoming the fear by using the dark side of the Force would be an interesting concept, and it makes me wonder if Sauron's magic could override the dark side of the Force and bend it to his will. The duelists would outmaneuver the Witch King rather easily, combine that with their Force abilities to possibly disarm him, and their dueling skills on top of that. I think it's safe to say they would beat the Witch King, assuming the lightsaber would do any damage. Now, 2v1 against the Nazgul, Maul and Talon may take down about half of the Nazgul, but with time, The overwhelming might of the Nazgul putting their magic together would be the downfall of Maul and Talon. On top of that, if they get hit by the Nazgul blades even once, they'll find themselves fading into the Wraith world. And just a side note, how badass would a Sith Wraith be? Maybe I'll make a video on that. Let me know if you want to see that. So after going over who the Witch King may have been, what the Nazgul are with their powers, abilities, their gear, talking about what the Witch King has done in Middle-earth. We've talked about how his army would fare against armies of old, and we've gone over how the Witch King and the Nazgul would fare against other fictional characters from other fictional universes. With that being said, we're going to wrap this video up today, but before I let you go, remember to like and subscribe, and I release a video every single Friday, so comment down below what you want to see next week. Also, I want to take a second to plug in my own original content, my own creation, my own comic book anthology coming out at the end of this year, December 2023. It's coming close, guys. I'm going to be making more videos on that. If you want to know about my characters Godman, the Lifebringer, and Xorg of the Komodo village, check the link in the description below. I got videos on both of those characters. Also, follow me on TikTok by the same name, Friday Random Media. As always, thank you guys for stopping by and tuning in. Have a great day. Peace out.